You're live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. It's time for news. Hello, good afternoon. I am Siyoko Kwakutre. You're welcome to the news. The management of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has given a window from February through March and April for students with arrears of fees to pay. Over 6,000 students, representing about 8% of the total student population of 85,276 at the KNUST, have been compelled to defer their courses in line with university regulations for non-payment of fees, according to the University Relations Officer, Dr. Daniel Norris Bequin. Students have channeled their fees to sports betting and other avenues such as Uber business to generate income. Authorities of the KNUST had earlier issued a release notifying students who owe more than 70% of school fees by April 7 that they would be deferred automatically. However, the warning did not take effect at that time, as students were allowed to take part in the mid-semester exams, which started on April 11. However, since news of the issue broke, some Ghanaians have expressed varied opinions, but Dr. Bequin insisted that the university's action is in the right direction. Meanwhile, Student Representative Council SRC of KNUST says plans are far advanced on negotiations with management of the university to accept the monies of some of the deferred students once it is ready. The SRC President of the KNUST, Mr. Michael Bwedi, is on the line to speak on the developments. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Bwedi, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Good afternoon to you.
Okay, so what has the SRC done or is doing to help the affected students?
So, as you said by many communities and my people out there, we have engaged management as of yesterday. So we realized that yesterday we were out of the media trying to actively use and come to the minister. What was decided was that now, after the 7th of April, immediately after that, students will pay their school fees. And after now, these students are even part of the 3,000 that have deferred. Very, very upset. Two, we have students who, out of technical hatred, have been deferred. Myself as SRC President, I'm in a situation where I'm part of those who, out of technical hatred, have had their status and students put out there and deferred. So what is the data trying to tell us of 6,000? Using their money for best way of business. I must be honest. Just yesterday, the students went to live to apologize to the parents that he used the money for business and so on. So he apologized and the parents should come to them. That was the situation. It now becomes a generalization of the many students who are waiting for scholarships. 2,380 students, needy students, waiting for their scholarship funds to take their accounts, to be able to have their deferral reverted. And the generalization of this conversation affects people. Two, we have people who are waiting for philanthropists. One of the people who are waiting for philanthropists, out of this conversation we are having, comes from them. We seek money the conversation with one person who goes out and you use the money for best way and this to follow the conversation. The SRC are part in it. As I speak to you at the moment, people are receiving text of having their status as deferred, reinstated as student status. I can send you messages to prove it. Myself as SRC President, with the executives, I said 3,000 to help students who are on the benchmark of having paid 57%. 53%, 50%, and so on, and have genuine consent of not having money to wait, the 70% is rectified. All these things have been done. Looking forward and by the end of money to have the connection that engage more and get students out of the state.
So, Michael, if indeed some students use their fees for other business ventures, wouldn't this have been the reason why the school authority took this decision to defer students who haven't paid the fees? If indeed you are affirming that or attesting to the fact that some students indeed use their fees for betting and maybe hill rides ventures, wouldn't this have been the reason why the school took this decision?
It is not a reason, because last year we had this policy. Last year, students were starting from the out of this fees. It's far better than this year, so they granted the opportunity by the we are people of the class. It is not for that. Is it for the same reason that myself, SRC President, speaking, I've used my money to best and need to be prepared? It's because of the technical page. So it can't be a generalization for the 8,000. It cannot, and it must not.
So has the Ministry of Education intervened yet?
The Ministry is not had engagement with the management, but for our very open if you see the very feedback, students have having their application be referrals have been presented, and that looks like for us we continue to be included. So we have a very that we are comfortable.
So are there any concessions for students who genuinely cannot pay their fees?
Pardon?
I was asking whether there are concessions for students who genuinely cannot pay their fees.
Yes, that's why I make the argument that last 2 weeks, even before I put a committee at the where those students, their letters, proof of needs, yes, we had the interviews last 3 days. At the time that we were having the interview, that is when students started receiving the proof of deferral. So students will be paid. The scholarships that they are on will shift their portals and their account very soon. Their status will be reverted.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael, for the updates. And Michael Wedi is the SRC President for the KNUST. Still on education, the management of the Ghana School of Law has constituted a committee to investigate alleged financial impropriety within the Student Representative Council, SRC, of the school. This follows several allegations of conflict of interest, impropriety and financial mismanagement leveled against the SRC President Wanda Victor Kuto. The management, in a statement dated April 12, 2022, indicated that it would probe the issues rigorously as it does not condone such actions. The committee comprises 3 members, namely Mrs. Victoria Bath, Head of Faculty and Lecturer, Advocacy and Legal Ethics, Ghana School of Law, Mr. Moses Ansaban Ankra, Deputy Director of Finance Budget, Judicial Service of Ghana, and Mrs. Justice Anthony Eduhine. These members are to conduct thorough investigations into the substantive matter and anything concerning the SRC and submit findings and recommendations to the management for implementation. Students have, however, been asked to assist with any information that is imperative to the investigations not later than 25th April 2022. The chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Yaobwedu Ayeboafo, has appealed to the people of Boaman in the Effigys Kwabre north of Ashanti to contribute to the development of the newly established Effigys Senior technical school to make it one of the most preferred second cycle institutions in the country. He noted that such a dream could be achieved with the people's commitment and sacrifice in both cash and kind to help develop infrastructure to attract students from all over the country. The NMC's chairman was speaking at a fundraiser and presentation of 2 buses donated to the school at Boaman.
Effigys Senior High Technical School was established in 2018 by the community and supported financially by one Kwesi Bechi Echamfo. The school, the only technical and vocational training institution in the area, has now been absorbed into the public education system. The school does not have the needed classrooms and boarding facilities to meet growing demand, especially by qualified applicants, such as those selected by the School Selection and Placement System, SSPS. This is one of the major factors that necessitated the fundraising. The chairman of the National Media Commission, NMC, Mr. Yabwedu Ayeboafo, who is also a citizen of Boaman, commended Mr. Bechi Echamfo for not only donating the bus, but also paying the salaries of all the teachers for the past 3 years. He said the success or otherwise of the school largely depend on the support and love it received from the people.
Say yes, school ye. Nasa headmaster near teacher for so. Amade Adrian Pani Akumapa at Nasa school yimo. Now Moshem Krani su ye. Na abain they also abain so ye or ya. Uko school what you chromo. Uko school ewan kayo. Uko school what hinio. Also ubenya in Kunidi nibi. Eti mama yama yakuma emra sa school yiso. Nieshe nya yebeye.
The Deputy Director of TVET, Engineer Peter Enchibosiako, said developing economies were built through acquisition technical knowledge and skills, which is why the government is investing so much in skills and technical education in the country. The Effigys Kwamewu North District Chief Executive, Mr. Kakari Echamfo, encouraged the tutors and students to be disciplined so they could achieve positive results. He commended the founding fathers of the school, including the former MP and current National Security Minister, Mr. Albert Kandapa, for their initiative. The headmaster of the school, Mr. Francis Asimedu Dennis, appealed for classroom furniture, classroom blocks and computers. He hoped the sacrifice the people had made would not be in vain.
Between 2017 and 2019, the Ministry of Communications and Digitization, in partnership with MTN Ghana and Huawei Technologies, set up 400 rural telephony sites to provide data and voice connectivity with 3G coverage to over 1,000 hitherto unserved communities across the country and serve over 1.2 million citizens. This was intended to increase voice and data connectivity to about 3.5 million people who are currently not connected. And this is expected to help achieve 95% mobile telephone service coverage throughout Ghana. This came to light at the inauguration of a rural telephony and digital inclusion project at Boabin in the Nkranza North District of the Blue East region. Boabin Fiema is one of the famous communities in the Blue East region because of the monkey sanctuary in the area. It is the only farming community where monkeys and human beings live and socialize together. The residents consider that a move by the Ministry of Communications and Digitization and its partners will help market the tourism potential in the area to the country and the world at large. Phase 1 of the rural telephony project involves construction of 2,016 telecom sites to provide voice and 3G data connectivity to about 3 million Ghanaians in unserved and underserved communities. Phase 2 of the project will also plug any remaining gaps and upgrade the sites to 4G. Since its inception in November 2020, 748 sites have been completed, with 308 active and delivering voice and data services to about 500,000 citizens. At a ceremony to inaugurate the project at Boabin, the Bono East Regional Minister, Mr. Kwesi Edujan, described the move as timely. The Deputy Minister for Education in charge of TVET, Mrs. Gifty Chum Ampofo, said the Cell Center would go a long way to improve teaching and learning in the various basic schools in the area. The Minister for Communications and Digitization, Mrs. Ursula Osuekufo, said the government of Ghana is committed to providing Ghanaians, especially the youth, with ICT facilities and skills to enhance their ability to function effectively in the knowledge-based society which is rapidly unfolding.
I therefore urge both the school authorities and this community to safeguard these projects. They are your property to be used for your collective benefit. Please don't allow any antisocial elements to vandalize, damage, steal components from or destroy it. If you protect yours, government will not have to replace it again, but can utilize our scarce resources to provide more critical infrastructure for others who don't yet have any.
The Chief of Boabin, Nana Wusu Damwa Ameyao, commended the ministry for the gesture.
Asida PSA, Asida Elikabia, Yadida Abayase, Yadida Honorable Minister, Yadida Defect for Masi, Oliver Twist.
The Ministry of Communications and Digitization is partnering International Telecommunications Union ITU, Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation NORAD, and Cisco to implement Digital Transformation Centers DTC. The Economist Intelligence Unit is tipping the opposition National Democratic Congress NDC to win the 2024 elections on condition that a party puts forward a new presidential candidate other than former President John Mahama. A 5-year forecast for Ghana by the unit indicates that the chances of the NDC will be higher if Mr. Mahama, who led the party in 2016 and 2020, is replaced to re-energize the party. On GTV Breakfast, panelists shared varied views on this report.
It's a fair rational assessment of the census kind of principle on the performance of incumbent government. Elections is always conducted based on their performance. There may be other variables, but the important thing is whether the government is doing well or is not doing well. And the second has to do with the fact that if the government is not doing well, then the census principle suggests that then the credible alternative to the government is likely going to win. But if you look at this too, I say it's oversimplification because it doesn't look at the critical complex nature of the ordinary voter and voter behavior in electoral politics. So it is sometimes very difficult to just assume that if things are not going well, then incumbent is going to lose. Because the voter is a very complex person.
Beyond those indicators that they point to right now, they also give certain assessment of what is to happen tomorrow in terms of the economic performance of this country. I mean, what we all need to understand is that yesterday will be history, tomorrow will be mystery. So political researchers are to unravel the mysteries of tomorrow. So in that sort of scenario, you realize that there are certain indicators that will be put out there, but it does not necessarily mean that those forecasts that are being pushed out there, if certain conditions changes, it will not affect it. For MPP, when we hear issues like this, we sit down and look at the numbers, look at what can we do to change our fortunes. And we've been told that what you can do is to transform the lives of the people, grant them jobs, perception of corruption, deal with them. These are issues. So we accept them. We'll find measures and put measures in place to deal with them.
How can I take this report to decide I'm winning? In actual fact, I have told everybody that don't even think about the reports because it makes you complacent. I want us to know that we are winning for different reasons. And the reasons are not based on the incompetence and mismanagement of the economy and the country by the, MPP. There are three things for me that make you win an election. The first is that the government of the day must demonstrate that it is not able to govern. I tick that box. It's clear. They have demonstrated it time and time again. The economy is a shambles. Everybody knows we are suffering. The second aspect is that opposition must demonstrate that it's in a position to govern, for people to believe that you are in a position to govern.
And we are also on
trajectory demonstrating that. The third point, you have to police your votes. That is the key to where we are in this problem in the first place.
Most of the unused COVID-19 vaccines donated to Africa are due to expire next month, says the African Center for Disease Control. Meanwhile, just about 15% of Africa's 1.3 billion population is fully vaccinated. Since Africa's vaccination drive is fraught with hesitancy, the expiration could mean money gone down the drain for most of these countries. These were some concerns shared at the 8th West African Conference for Medical Laboratory Scientists in Accra. A report by Sarah Ofori.
COVID-19 taught African countries one lesson. That is the need to build upon its health systems with the capacity to accurately diagnose and treat infectious diseases in a timely manner. Until then, the continent's diagnostic capacity was the poorest because governments paid less attention to diagnostics and the regulation of medical devices. This always kept Africa at the end of the line to receiving diagnostic devices and vaccine supplies globally. However, in readiness for future pandemics, medical laboratory scientists from the sub-region met in Accra to discuss how member states could be self-sufficient in safe, sustainable, resilient and affordable diagnostics, treatment and the prevention of diseases. They hope to also engage governments of member states to invest in the postgraduate training of medical laboratory scientists.
We need to promote research of diagnostics that are suited for low resource settings. We need to develop national diagnostic strategies that are based on an integrated and a tiered network.
Having experienced the devastating effects of Ebola in Liberia during her tenure, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf implored governments not to overlook the roles of medical laboratory scientists in ensuring a healthier population. She called for capacity building to meet the global highest standards and create the enabling environment for vaccine production. The Deputy Minister for Health, Madam Tina Mensah, highlighted the need to address vaccine hesitancy and decrease the inequality gaps as the continent works towards vaccine sufficiency. The Africa Center for Disease Control warned of dire consequences of Africa's low vaccination coverage.
Since Omicron, we have so much vaccine coming to Africa, but we have two challenges. One, vaccine hesitancy. As I speak to you now, between now and May, end of this month, we have around 2.5 million doses of vaccines that are going to expire in multiple countries, including Ghana. DRC has around 1.8 million doses of vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna, that will expire on May 26. So they have given us vaccines, but the demand are going down because we have the security. That's one.
Dr. Muso Kafala also entreated West African states to apply for the Africa CDC's readily available funds to facilitate efforts to combat COVID-19 and prepare for future pandemics. The conference was on the theme ensuring diagnostic capacity and vaccine sufficiency as panacea to combating infectious diseases in West Africa. Sarah Ofori, GBC News, Accra.
The government has declared the Botiano, Ngleshi, Amanfum roads under emergency. Roads and Highways Minister, Mr. Kwesi Amoakwata, said this means these roads need special attention.
The minister was inspecting some projects in the Gas South constituency in Greater Accra on Wednesday when he announced this. The visit was in response to various calls on the ministry by residents to fix their roads. He described the about 6.3-kilometer stretch between Ajasko and Dunkona as a danger to residents, assuring that qualified contractors will be on site within 1 month. Mr. Mwakwata appreciated the fact that the roads are terrible, but asked residents to remain calm, promising a facelift. He was, however, not happy about the attitude of some residents who build in road reserves.
And you should write officially to whoever, whether it's a church or whatever it is, this property will have to come down. I mean, look at the big gully that has been created by the force of the water.
He urged government appointees to act responsibly without fear of anyone if their work will benefit the masses.
People build without permit, people build in waterways, crossing points, water crossing points. They get to know, they go and mark. Now, throughout the country, people don't take the assemblies, serious at all. Because they have just come and mark with their red pen, red paint or whatever it is. Nothing will happen. And it's disturbing us a lot.
Some residents, Abuna Ejiwa Niyao and Michelle Edu, who spoke to GBC News, said they are happy that the road, which has been abandoned for over 20 years, will finally be fixed. The MP for the English and Manfrey constituency, Mr. Sylvester Mensah, was grateful to government for responding to their calls for over 25 kilometers of roads in the constituency to be fixed, including the 2.5-kilometer broadcasting road at Botiano. Baba Dago, New Botiano and Red Top, among others, will be captured under this road project. Other constituencies to benefit are Bawi and Anya Sotium.
150 Ghanaians, including 23 women, have graduated from the Jubilee Technical Training Center, JTTC, of the Takoradi Technical University. They are job market-ready technicians trained for the upstream petroleum sector and allied industries under the Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Building Program.
Ghana lost the opportunity for its technicians to play a lead role in the upstream petroleum industry since it discovered oil in commercial quantities in 2007 due to skills gap. The Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Building Program, AOGC, was therefore launched by President Akufo-Addo in 2017 to enhance the capacities of Ghanaians to enable them to obtain the requisite skills and internationally recognized certification to work in the upstream petroleum sector. Under the program, 5 Ghanaians were selected to undertake training in advanced welding in Canada. They have returned to the country after the course and are working as welding instructors at Takoradi, Kekam, the Kumasi Technical Institute and the Takoradi Technical University. The second batch of 150 students from across the country also underwent 6 months of intensive training comprising 4 months of academic work at the JTTC and 2 months of supervised hands-on practical training in the industry for degrees and higher HND certificates. They have graduated as instrumentation, mechanical and electrical technicians with the City and Guilds International Vocational Qualification IVQ Level 3. The training, which costs 5.1 million Ghana cedis, was fully funded by the Petroleum Commission. The Chief Executive of the Petroleum Commission, Mr. Egbert Fable Jr., said the Commission is desirous of seeing more Ghanaians with the requisite skills taking over from the expatriates in line with local content policy.
The Commission will also strategically position you as successors to expatriate technicians who may be approved to come to work on offshore platforms and installations in this country with immediate effect. In line with the policy framework we've developed, at the end of about 3 years, every expatriate who's done 3 years should, in leaving, be replaced by a Ghanaian with no option of bringing another expatriate.
The Vice-Chancellor of the Takoradi Technical University, Professor John Frank Eshen, said it is expected that the beneficiaries would acquit themselves in all their chosen profession after receiving such world-class training from the university. A Deputy Minister for Energy, Mr. Andrews Ejapa Mesa, said government would continue to pursue policies that will place Ghanaians at the center of the industry.
A 600,000 Ghana Cedi maternity block being built at the Salvation Army Hospital at Yomrasi in the Setre South District in the Ashanti region is almost complete. The Chief of Staff, Mrs. Akosia Frima Osel-Parry, who happens to be a citizen of the area, toured the facility to assess progress of work.
Chief of Staff, Mrs. Akosia Frima Osel-Parry, a citizen of Yomrasi, has been instrumental in attracting government-funded projects to the town. Accompanied by some officials and the chief of the town, Nana Boachi Yado, the chief of staff visited the SDA hospital, where management has used part of its internally generated funds to build a 25-bed modern maternity block. Part of the cost of the project was borne by a board member, Openyi Jemfia Mankwa, for which reason the facility has been named after him. The block has some equipment including a modern delivery bed with antenatal and postnatal rooms, lying in wards, among others. The chief of staff interacted with the staff of the hospital, including the new medical director, Dr. Michael Addo. The chief of staff thanked Dr. Addo for accepting posting to the town and promised to ensure the necessary assistance to enable him have a hassle-free stay. The team then proceeded to a newly built court building with funding by the Judicial Service. At the Salvation Army Hospital, also at Yomrasi, Mrs. Frima Osel-Parry and her entourage inspected a 20-bed maternity block under construction. The 600,000 cedi project is being financed from the district's share of the common fund. With logistics and the necessary equipment, it will become fully functional. It has an operating theatre and some offices for the staff. Mrs. Akosia Frima Osel was satisfied with the progress of the work on the various projects.
Nana Sanse Oma ye asase etumi ma yenya hoden a ye de sre mputudwuma eba Yomrasi me ba yi ma be hu se Oma asase kakra a ye de aye tibet ni nim se na wa ma de na na mi hu se esosa dachi bia ye pesi e chemu a ye benya na me ame ba ye no me hu wo krata so di ne me hu adwiri eso e ya de a ebeboa e man ni nyina eni mpo omo a omo ben e Yomrasi.
Earlier, the chief of staff had visited the site of a new model technical and vocational training institute. This Get Fund project is expected to be completed by the end of this year.
21-year-old Ishmael Kwamewu needs 21,870 Ghana cedis to undergo surgery. Ishmael Kwamewu was diagnosed of spinal tumor 3 months ago, but is unable to raise funds for treatment. He no longer walks and was unable to attend university after he had admission due to his condition. He's appealing for financial assistance for the surgery. All monies can be sent through the Fidelity Bank account number 2100-452-404913, Medina branch, with account name Ishmael Kwamewu. Donations can also be sent through MTN mobile money number 024-267-2297 with the name Ishmael Kwamewu. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News and GTV. We'll be back shortly with the business segment. Please don't go away.
As the world transitions to cleaner and efficient energy, the African Development Bank will no longer expand on new coal investments. The bank's Vice President for Power, Energy, Climate and Green Growth, Dr. Kevin Keriki, told journalists the AFDB will focus funding to gas
as a cleaner fuel.
Understand that Africa needs to address its energy poverty. And in order to look at it as energy poverty, we need to look at all non-coal and non-nuclear sources of energy, including gas. And therefore, from where we stand, as long as a gas project has been included in a country as part of what is called nationally determined contributions, in other words, emissions from that particular power plant has already been incorporated as part of the country's national determined contribution plans, then the bank will invest in those gas power plants. So I think, when it comes to the issue of where we will place the role of fossil fuel, as far as the annual meetings are concerned, coal is out, but the bank remains committed to financing gas projects that are part of the national determined contribution, and therefore those projects that are Paris aligned by implication.
If a country decides to do coal and it doesn't want, and because the FDB has chosen not to use its resources to finance coal, but the country has reason to go somewhere else and has ability to secure funds, it doesn't mean that that country cannot do coal. But of course, the contradiction will be that country desiring to do coal, how does that comply with its commitment to the Paris Agreement?
Ghana and Namibia have signed 6 new agreements in the areas of infrastructure, agriculture, poverty eradication, among others, as they seek to deepen their long-standing bilateral and economic relations. The 2-day meeting has been reviewing the implementation of signed MOUs between Accra and Windhoek. This is to identify new areas for cooperation. Trade between the two countries stood at $2.3 million in 2020, with a balance of trade in favor of Namibia. The two long-term friends now want to deepen economic and cultural ties, hoping to increase trade and investment through the African Continental Free Trade Area.
We want to see the implementation of these documents, of the contents, because the implementation of the contents of these documents will benefit both Ghana and Namibia. You looked at 3 main thematic areas: infrastructure and economic matters, socio-cultural matters, and political and diplomacy matters. These cover important sectors in our 2 economies, and Ghana welcomes the prioritization of the implementation of the various decisions which have been taken in these focus areas.
The instruments we have signed today, they are focusing on issues of bread and butter. And that is why it's very critical that we pay attention to their full implementation. Our countries cannot continue to remain on the receiving end, and Africa cannot continue to be a continent which is always seen as we are begging others.
Relations between Accra and Windhoek dates back to Namibia's liberation struggle. Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and Ghana actively supported Namibia's independence struggle. The two nations have since collaborated on the global front in advancing their respective interests. Namibia exports mostly diamonds, which is 25% of her total exports, uranium, lead, zinc, tin, silver, food and live animals, and also manufactured products to Ghana. A study conducted by Aya Institute for Women, Politics and Media shows that players in the micro, small and medium enterprise SMEs in Ghana want authorities to put in place effective systems to prevent inferior goods from crossing borders into the country.
In a study to assess the potential of women-led MSMEs, 16 group members from different occupational backgrounds were involved. About 75% of the respondents had a fair idea about the initiative, including main goals and protocols that have been negotiated, especially on goods and services. The remaining 25 had no idea about the agreement. Respondents say the initiative had not altered the main markets. However, expectations were high for possible changes due to the reduction of charges at the borders and the elimination of preferential treatment. The AFCFTA will allow for access to a large continental market and increase exports to African countries outside the region. In a panel discussion, issues on challenges and the way forward for SMEs concerning collaboration between MSMEs, relevant institutions and government regarding registration and education came up. Challenges including limited market knowledge and information, access to finance were also discussed. A representative from the Aya team, Madame Eunice Penning of FAIR, said some findings include the need for an immediate and proper sensitization across the country on the opportunities and challenges of AFCFTA.
There are lists of things that every country can export or allow to contribute to the after. The information level on some of these things is very low.
Registration for participation in AFCFTA is still ongoing. Nonetheless, the origin of the raw material for goods manufactured must be 70% sourced locally. The marketing manager, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Madame Grace Jable, said the origin of the raw material idea is to promote Africa's economy.
There are protocols on rules of origin. If you manufacture fabrics and you import your raw materials from China, you import your accessories from China, it will be difficult for you to be able to export under AFTA.
The workshop, organized by Aya Institute for Women, Politics and Media, is on the theme Making AFCFTA Work for Women-Led Businesses in Ghana.
Let's have the interbank and commodity figures for the day.